again, in working out the technical issues, we are switching from district to district in every one of the Santa Rosa Safe School Task Force meetings, and there was a miscommunication about the Zoom, which is my fault, and I apologize for that. But we will work that out next time, and we'll get started. Again, welcome to the Santa Rosa Safe School Task Force. This is a group that brings together representatives from the school districts, from the city, from the Safe School program. We invite parents and members of the public here to share their concerns about safe school issues that impact students traveling to and from school, and also to share information. So what we're doing with our program, what the city is doing, what districts might be doing that would facilitate collaboration between the different agencies and try to, facilitate improvements and change and more collaboration. So that's why we're here. And the first item on the agenda is just public comments for items that are not on the agenda. So just again, pointing out that there is an agenda item for district and site issues and concerns. So if you're here on the Zoom or in person to share a concern, that is an agenda item. Is there anyone here that has a public comment that is not on the agenda, guys?
Hi everybody, I'm Forrester. I have two sons. They both come to the village. One's now at SLMS and one is at Monty. In the spirit of just sharing information, like you just said, I wanted to share the existence of a new tool that has been put out by the National Academies called Roadway Cross-Section Reallocation. And I just wanted to share a quote by one of the authors from a recent interview that I heard. He says, the framework is meant to support cities and towns and states as they are thinking through changes to streets. We are starting with the idea that safety is actually more important than other goals like traffic throughput and level of service. We are not, and we're not just the only ones saying this. Every state DOT says that safety is their #1 priority. Federal Highway has a safe systems approach. The Engineering Code of Ethics says it too. Safety is actually a higher priority, and every engineer will say it and then turn around and make decisions that place other things at higher priority than safety. We want one of two things to happen. Either you make safety your top priority and make the choice to design your street that puts safety first, or admit that you are saying that parking is more important than safety or traffic capacity is more important than safety. We don't think it's appropriate for cities and towns any longer to say that safety is their top priority out of one side of their mouth and then make choices that contradict that. So I have seen this in action in my advocacy over the last 2 years. I have seen traffic engineers repeatedly say, well, we'd like to put a stoplight there, but we can't slow down traffic. We'd like to put a crosswalk there, but we can't slow down traffic. And so I'm just asking for an honest accounting of what the city is prioritizing as it designs the streets the way they're designed. And I also brought these to share with anybody who's interested in checking out this tool, because I think it's a really collaborative tool for inviting traffic engineers into the conversation about how to make our streets safe for all users. That isn't really about us versus them or cars versus people, but realizes that we're all part of a community and we all benefit from being able to get safely to where we go. So I will pass these around and people can take one if like.
Alexa, did you have that comment written, or was that off the top of your head? Because if you have it written, you could.
I have the quote from the traffic engineer.
Okay.
On there.
Okay.
What came after was off the cuff.
Sounds great. And of course, in my being flustered about the meeting start, I completely forgot to do introductions first. So thank you, Alexa. Let's go ahead and do our introductions now, and then we'll move on with the meeting. And again, I'm Sabrina Bellinger, the Safe School Director for Sonoma County Bike Coalition and Transportation Authority, and we'll go this way.
Oceguera, active transportation planner for the city of Santa Rosa.
I'm Annette Ceballos, the district office clerk here at Rio Valley.
Hello, Amy Jones, superintendent here at Rio Valley.
Mike Ponyo, maintenance operations, Rio Valley.
All right, Lori O'Connor, Director of Student Services, Rio Valley. Hi, Laurel Chambers, Department of Health Services. I lead the Healthy Eating Active Living team.
Sarah Handler with the Safe Routes School Program for the Sonoma County High School.
Summer Gloeckner, Sergeant, Santa Rosa Police Department Traffic Division, and this is my second stint. So if I've met you before and I don't remember, I'm sorry. I'm there from
2016 to 2019, and now I'm back in traffic. So just started. So I'm a little familiar with the faces, but back.
Patty Turner, I'm an administrator for the Santa Rosa City Schools.
Great, and there's a few people on the Zoom, are you able to unmute them so they can introduce themselves?
They can already.
Oh, you can unmute yourselves and then you can introduce yourselves. Please introduce yourselves.
Hi, I'm Brendan Connors. I'm a parent of a student at Village Elementary and a road user by car and bike.
Hi, I'm Elizabeth Crane, and I'm a parent of 2 kids who go to Sequoia Elementary School and cross Calistoga Road multiple times a day.
Someone else? Oh, that's Jacob, sorry.
We do have 5 other people that decline being promoted to a panelist, so they're listening, but they are not a panelist.
They're not a panelist, so they're in the Zoom.
Yes, but they
Okay.
declined the promotion to a panelist.
Got it, okay, that's fine. And is there a way to know who they are or?
Yeah, I have the names.
Okay, great, we can just get that.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. All right, so, was there anyone else on the Zoom that had a public comment that was not related to an item on the agenda? All right, great. So I'm gonna get started with, first item on the agenda, which is the Safe Routes to School Program Report. And so I'm gonna share my screen. Share presentation. Oops, Jacob, it doesn't look like I can share a screen.
You're trying to give.
Yep. Alright, so we are in East Santa Rosa, so I'm gonna focus somewhat on the East Santa Rosa area schools and their participation, but also go into all of Santa Rosa for a few slides. So in 2023-24, the sites that are enrolled in our comprehensive Safe Routes to School program in the East Santa Rosa focus area are Austin Creek, which is a new school this year, Bingsley, Madrone, Manzanita, Sequoia, Spring Lake, Village, and Whited. In Santa Rosa School District, in this focus area, we've got Santa Rosa French American Charter School, and in Bennett Valley District, we have Strawberry Elementary. These are the enrolled schools, and just reminding everybody that schools do have to opt in to be in the program every year. And when they opt into the program, we provide services to them and also collect information. So I'll go into that in a minute. Every school, every year that's enrolled in the program receives a snapshot showing what their engagement in the program was. I'm going to pass out some examples of snapshots to you, and I have for each district rep today, I have the snapshots and also some other data for your school of the schools in this focus area. The snapshots show a number of things. It shows how long the school has been in the program in the top left, who the principal was that year or is now in most cases, who the champions are. Champions are the folks that are sort of holding the program at that school. It could be the principal, parent, it could be a teacher. On the right, on the upper right, we have a snapshot of the data we collected at that school. So what the percentage of active green trips are and the percentage of green trips. And then also what response rate we received from the parent surveys we did last spring. And then in the green blob, there is some data for how are the 2 events that we track every year, which are International Walk and Roll to School Day and Bike to School Day. So what the participation was at that school on those days. And then on the bottom, we've got 3 categories: encouragement activities, education activities, and community engagement. And all of the possible activities are listed under each category, and then the activities that school engaged in is bolded. So you can see again, there's varying levels of engagement for each of our enrolled schools, but most of them do quite a lot in terms of encouragement and education and also community engagement. At the very bottom of the snapshot, it shows a snapshot of the GIS map data that we received for that we did for that school. So every school that's enrolled in the program receives a map showing how many students live in the quarter, the half, the 1 and the 2 mile radius. Oh, and the bike repair blurbs is from our bike rodeo, or in some cases, if we had like a family bike workshop. So most of the schools, they had a 4th grade bike rodeo. We either fit or gave away or sold low-cost helmets and repaired bikes and taught kids to learn how to ride. So that is also reflected on the snapshot. So I passed out our 22-23 snapshots to each district rep, and I just have some hard copies that anyone could look at just to get an idea of what a snapshot looks like. And again, we do that every year for all our enrolled schools. And right now we're in the midst of collecting that data for 23-24. So I actually just did this a couple of days ago. This is the Austin Creek. It's a new school in our program. So we collected the tally data, which is how students are traveling to school in different modes. And then we did the GIS map. So, just a preview of what we'll have for you later on at Austin Creek, a new school in our program. We have about 21% of the kids living within a quarter mile and 50% living within a half mile radius of the school, and about 25 to 26% are walking, and about 2% are biking. So sounds like a lot of those people living in that quarter mile radius are maybe walking and biking, but not so many in that half mile or that 1 mile or even 2 mile radius. At this moment, there's probably lots of reasons for that. We can look at parent survey data. We can look at, the GIS map. We can look at like where they're coming from to sort of like make some guesses about why they may or may not be all, walking and biking. When we look at the data from, their walk and roll day, we kind of see that as sort of the potential, like if conditions were perfect and everyone could walk and bike easily with the infrastructure, and also, parents are motivated or kids are motivated. That's sort of like our conditions are perfect. Another thing that I passed out to each of the district reps and wanted to make sure you're aware of is that we did a parent survey last spring. We did get quite a lot of parent survey comments from the East Santa Rosa schools. I have shared all this data with the city of Santa Rosa, and so that they can utilize it as they're, planning active transportation and other projects. But just so you know, the city is constantly collecting data. Not constantly, but like periodically collecting data. Different surveys will come out right now. They're working on their active transportation plan, which I'm sure that Alexander will talk about. There may be a survey later on about that. And, generally when a survey is put out, only a small percentage of people will respond to it. So it's every time we get that information, we collect it and we keep trying to collect it. And it's really great that when schools support the program in sharing these opportunities with their parents so that we can have their voices be heard. So I did share with our district reps, just so you could see what your parents said, in comments. So you'll have that information that we did share with the city already. And there'll be other opportunities for parents to share their concerns, including this task force meeting. Another thing I wanted to talk about was walking audits and site assessments. So at the very first meeting that we had back in August, we had a request from a parent at Sequoia Elementary School to do a site assessment, to do a walking audit to determine, to talk about the barriers at that site. And Amy joined us, and the parent from Sequoia and Alexander, and an engineer from the city, and the principal of the school. We did a walk around the school. We talked about, the concerns that parents and the school staff had, and then we talked about what the potential short and long-term solutions might be. And at the end of that, I created a report documenting those concerns, which were shared with the city and shared with the school district. So I wanted to talk about that process, and also about sort of a future plan for continuing with more audits, because we already know that there's a lot of demand for site assessments. At the last meeting, I think Patty shared about 8 schools that were interested in that happening, and in Roseland district, they had 1 school. So Alexandra and Sabrina from the city and I talked about this and were like, okay, let's figure out how to manage this process in a way that makes sense for our capacity and also to honor the requests that we're getting. So, and we asked at the September meeting, we received another request for a walking audit from Wright Charter School. So we had scheduled that based on that meeting, and that's been scheduled for November 8th. And so we're bringing together again all those parties from the city and the county and CHP in this case, the school and parents that were concerned to, do a walk around and collect that data. So what we would like to see going forward, now I know Patty, you did make a request, but we're in the meeting, but because the audits really need to kind of be scheduled with the principal needs to be involved, and generally, like, there's usually a parent that's concerned and wants to be there. We would like the initiation to happen with the principal. So we would like to ask the principal, email a request to me, formally requesting an audit at their site. At that point, when we get an email, we'll schedule the audits as requested. Depending on our availability and school, like, we'll have to look at everyone's schedule, but we're gonna kind of take it on a first come, first serve request basis. Knowing that if like many requests come in at once, we're gonna have to prioritize that based on our capacity and different factors, like maybe there's a school that we want to prioritize because we're going to be doing a project there soon. So we'll do the best we can to honor the first come, first serve, but also, within our capacity. We may rotate among city council districts, if we get a lot of requests for one area, but then one request from another, we may say, okay, we'll do one school here and one school there. But we will generate a report for every audit, and we'll share that with the participants in the city. We are also planning to create an internal tracking sheet of the projects the concerns and the projects that were identified, so that between the Safe Routes program and the city, we can stay on top of what has been identified. And so later on down the line, let's say the school or Amy's like, hey, what happened with that? Did you change the lighting on that crosswalk or the timing it? Like, then I'll know. We'll have that information for you. So we'll keep on top of those identified issues and solutions. And in terms of our capacity and the number of audits, we're still working that out. I feel like it's fairly doable to maybe do about one a month. It could be doable to do more than one. It kind of depends on just scheduling, we'll have to be bringing together multiple parties to get into this place for those audits. So we'll just kind of see how that goes. But again, that first step is please have your principal email me a request for that to happen, and we'll go from there, and we'll just coordinate with the parties that would like to be there. I know Laurel has expressed interest in leading some audits too, so that may help us, with capacity. But then generally we want a city engineer there and city planner there, and that may limit us a little bit in terms of time. Any questions about that process? Okay, so we're looking forward to doing more site assessments. Oh, and one other thing about this. Right now, there's no formal Safe Routes School plan for Santa Rosa. So there's no these reports are internal reports but that doesn't mean that that doesn't mean that work can't be done. They're just, we're gonna keep tracking these concerns and working on them as we can. And later on down the line, it could be that all these reports, if the city of Santa Rosa decides to do like the comprehensive Safe Routes to School plan, all this work that we're doing could roll into that later on down the line. So that's just a good thing. Yes.
Do you have a similar process for biking audit, or is it all kind of?
Right now walking audits are my capacity wise what I could promise. I think if there's a request for a bike audit, that could be considered. I know Alexander is interested in doing bike audits. The participants may not all have the ability to.
I was just reading some of the comments from another village parent, which is an experience we've had, which is there's not a good way to get a bike onto the village's campus because there's like only one entrance and there's lots of pedestrians.
That's a good one. And these are things we could be talking about at a walking audit too. Okay. We could be looking at like how many bike routes are there, where are bikes entering, you can look at all those factors. There's some really great checklists, like AARP has some a bike audit checklist and a walk audit checklist. We can just kind of take a look at those and figure out a good process that's consistent for school. So great comment and question. All right, and then I want to talk about education. I haven't talked about this at the August or the September meeting, but I wanted you all to know what's going on citywide with education. So I made a little spreadsheet that shows where we've been between August and October. In the future, I'll just do one month at a time, so it's not so like busy. But since October, we've done second grade pedestrian safety lessons with White. So we go in 2 times and we train the second graders on pedestrian safety. We actually go on a neighborhood safety walk where they all cross the street. It's a really cool lesson. We've been at Whited, we've been at Monroe, Helen Lehman, Village, and Bingley. With the 4th graders, we do 4th grade bike basics lessons, and they learn, the basics of biking and like why a helmet's important and riding on the right side and signaling, and some other basics. And we're at Village and JX Wilson, Manzanita, Helen Lehman, Monroe, and Whited for the bike basics lessons. And then we did bike rodeos, which is where they're on bike and they're getting helmets and they're getting their bikes repaired if they bring them. We were at Village, Mark West, and JX Wilson, Manzanita, Helen Lehman, and Whited. So I mean the same schools, but the schools that get the bike basic lesson generally get a bike rodeo, but not every school gets a bike rodeo because those are limited. But in this case, they all did. We also did 5th grade mapping and communications lessons with pretty much those same schools. White Charter was added to that list. And then I added a column for middle school and Learn to Ride and family, kind of combine that into one. We do community Learn to Ride lessons in Santa Rosa Park and Rec. So those were in August, September, and October. And then we did a Wright District family ride in September. And we did some middle school education with Santa Rosa Charter School for the Arts, where we did street skills for cyclists, sort of seminar, two periods of them getting some deep street skills lessons. Just so you know, the Wright District family ride has been something this Wright District has championed, and that could happen in other districts as well. If there's interest, let me know. And also, I know that the Bikeable Santa Rosa has done some great family rides, even though they're not hosted by Safe Routes School. It's a wonderful thing to communicate through your, if you have a flyer and we share it with the district, you share it with your families, let them know about these opportunities to get on bike and get out there. Okay, so we had International Walk and Roll to School Day. That's our launch event of the year. We had 21 schools in Santa Rosa participate. Over 30% of enrolled students walked and rolled to school that day, based on the attendance numbers. So that was a good turnout. Probably about, at least not in some schools more than double, and in some schools maybe 10% more of the students walked and rolled. And then right now we're in the midst of our Walk and Roll Anywhere challenge. So any school or teacher or parent that wants to encourage their students to track if they've walked, biked, scootered, or skated on any day of October. We're just really encouraging kids to walk and roll it anywhere, to school or anywhere, not just school, but to anywhere, to use their active transportation and to get on their walk and bike, get some exercise and have some fun out there in the outdoors. So if they turn that into their school and the school turns it into us, they're entered into a drawing. We do a countywide drawing every month with our challenge. And then Ruby Bridges Walk to School Day is our November event. That takes place on the official day is November 14th. Some schools are celebrating on different days, like if they have their walk roll day on the first Wednesday, they may just keep it that day. I think Santa Rosa French Charter is doing theirs on the 8th of November, but a lot of schools are doing it on the 14th, and these are the schools that have registered so far. Registration for Ruby Bridges Day this year at least takes place with AAA, because they are the national sponsor for this event, and they send registered schools these really cool swag kits of like a bunch of stuff that they can give away on their walk and roll day to honor, Ruby Bridges and to highlight equity and diversity. And so I've been in touch with AAA. We communicate every week or two, and they say they have plenty of swag kits. So if there's a school in your district that hasn't registered and wants to participate, tell them to do it. It's not too late. They can register and they can still participate in this event. So, but we do have a lot of schools in Santa Rosa that are registered already. And we do have a challenge for Ruby Bridges month as well. It's a bingo challenge. Each bingo square is either encouraging the student to learn about something about Ruby Bridges or about being safe and seen while they're walking to school. So we're trying to encourage both safety and visibility and awareness about that, and also about learning about the legacy of the civil rights icon. There is curriculum available on our website as well for Ruby Bridges Day. There's a day of dialogue guide that teachers can use in their classrooms. We hope that schools, are celebrating the walk and roll that day and teaching about, being visible and being safe and seen. But we also really encourage schools to, utilize this opportunity to teach about civil rights and Ruby Bridges and equity and diversity. And there's curriculum resources. We actually have a website that we created that you can link to from our website, which has a bunch of resources about Ruby Bridges on it. We also do have an educational PSA for this month, which is be bright and be seen and be visible. So if you'd like to share that out, that would be wonderful. The police department, I'd love for you guys to share it out. That would be great. And another thing that is happening now that is available to schools or other community partners, Santa Rosa has community improvement grants. They cycle quarterly, so this is not the first cycle. We communicated this in one of our recent Safe e-newsletters before the last round, because I thought it would be a great opportunity for a school to get some funding for Ruby Bridges event. The next round is the application is available now. It's due in January. I have some notes about it, because the types of projects could be physical construction or improvement projects like murals of public art or benches, or park improvements or repair, community cleanups, tree planting, graffiti removal, community school or service projects, signage, creek restoration, neighborhood gardens, any activity that creates or enhances the sense of community among individuals within a regional area or within a group that shares a common interest. I think the projects, the grants are up to $2,500, and I think it could be a great thing to do for supporting a Safe Routes to School project at your school as well, or something else that's interesting to you. So I wanted to make sure you're all aware of that. Okay, so the last item on my presentation is just the upcoming task force meeting, which will be on December 1st at the Santa Rosa City School District on Ridgeway Avenue at 10:30. We will have a Zoom option, and I will work it out with the district beforehand to make sure I have the right Zoom link. We are hoping to continue with the task force in January or early February. I definitely want to address this at the December meeting, if not today. I had some requests to consider having this meeting be later in the day, at 4 p.m. perhaps. I was wondering if districts might support a 4 p.m. meeting, or if that would not be doable because of many other commitments that you have in the afternoons. Might that be possible, do you think? I guess it would depend on the date. Yeah. If we were going with the structure of our current meetings, the next meeting would be skipping this for January would be the 25th of January, which is a Thursday, which would either be 10:30 a.m. or 4 p.m. We could host that meeting, because that would be an all-city meeting again. We could host that at SCTA, and then either in December or even in January, we could sort of decide how we want to move forward with rotating districts. Do we want to keep rotating? Do we want to go to different districts, Bennett Valley or Roseland? So anyway, I'll send emails to all of my district contacts and try
Or open or whatever, and how
You're
to
open to
host
whatever.
too.
Okay, great, wonderful. Thank you. And how about 4 p.m. would work?
As long
Okay.
as we're still there and there's a building.
Yeah, for sure. And again, I'll communicate with y'all via email about that to kind of firm up a date for December, and then maybe even, January, and then maybe even see if we can get the dates for, February, March, April, or March, April, May before December meeting, so we can make those announcements. Awesome. Okay, so that's it for my presentation. We're going to move on to Alexander, and Alexander, I'll go ahead and open up. Zoom, so share. Open up your presentation and I can advance the slides for you.
All right, again, my name's Oceguera. I'm the active transportation planner for the city of Santa Rosa. And I am gonna give an active transportation update, what's going on in your area. I try to kind of focus these presentations on each district that we're talking to in the area that we're, the area of concern. Next slide. So some of the projects that we have in this area are RFPs. Those are rapid flashing beacons, and what they do is they help clue in, drivers, pedestrians, everybody that, hey, somebody's crossing at the crosswalk with the flashing lights on next to the signs. And so it's supposed to help give awareness to the crossing and hopefully prevent potential collisions. The locations where we have installed one so far is over here on Sierra Creek Lane and Owen Avenue. That particular location, we had to add actual curb ramps. We had our crews install that. Made some future locations where we're going to be adding the rapid rectangular flashing beacons to the RFPs are Montgomery Drive and Franquette, Summerfield Road, Park Trail Drive. Slide, please. So some of our bike lane improvements that are going to be coming up in here in the near future, class 2 bike lanes on Montgomery Drive, Santa Rosa Creek to Hammond Drive. We're having more than just these improvements throughout the city, but I wanted to mention these because they are in this district area, the council districts. It's funny when we have these conversations, I sometimes get confused because we go from council district to school district, but we're talking about council districts. So also, so that's supposed to happen. Probably it should happen next summer. It was supposed to happen, and the contractor with that project had delays. Winterize that project, I believe. We're still trying to get the contractor to move forward, but at this point, it looks like we're winterizing both of these projects, and we're going to potentially be able to get them done in late spring, early summer. So the second project on this list is the class 2B. So if people don't know what a class 2 bike lane is, it's just your normal striped bike lane on most of your roads, and it has one stripe. Well, a buffered bike lane has depicted here in the slide, or class 2B bike lane, has just an extra area that's striped so that cars can't enter that area, and it gives cyclists more room. And it's also supposed to help potentially shorten that crossing distance for pedestrians moving across the street as well. So there's plenty of benefits to doing something like this. And on this road in particular, it's in the visual, it's on College Avenue, and there was a road dying, so that's when you take away a lane of travel lane, and it helps slow down speeds. So a lot of places where we end up putting these class 2B or buffered bike lanes, usually doing the road diet, and then that helps slow speeds and also gives a buffer for cyclists and pedestrians crossing the street. So our class 2B project in the area is going to be on Sonoma Avenue, East Street, and again from East Street to Bobble Lane. So that would be like in front of the French American Charter School. So look for that to be happening as well in the summer of 2024. Next slide. So,
Oh,
go
sorry.
back. So we also are working on our active transportation plan. Our active transportation plan is gonna help us, identify, you know, safe routes to school potentially, our active transportation network. We're gonna try to connect the active transportation network and create a connected mobility network that's for all ages and abilities. So that's, kids, older adults, drivers, everybody. It's gonna try to help promote slowing speeds and identifying how to connect the network in a feasible way. It's beneficial to everybody. So right now we're working on our visioning and goals. And so if you want to be a part of that process, I would look for our bicycle and pedestrian advisory board meetings. They're posted on the city website or our meetings section. There you can have influence and actually, help us identify what areas that you might see. We could potentially put in a bike lane or a buffered bike lane, or another feature is a class 4 protected bike lane. So that's where, if anybody's been out to Armory Drive, there's vertical delineation or something in between, vehicles and cyclists. So yeah, we also have an active transportation plan webpage, so look for updates on that as well.
So I can send our school contacts information about how to engage with the application plan. If you are all willing to share that with your community, I could just, share the website, there's a survey. I don't know about the bike and pedestrian advisory committee meetings necessarily, but, certainly people could come to this meeting and share their concerns, and then we could record that and include it, so, yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, so those BPAD meetings are actually a hybrid form, so
Yeah.
even if you're not able to attend in person, you can come online and attend them as well.
Sure. Great.
I also wanted to mention, because a good portion of this council district is surrounded by Highway 12, the Caltrans District 4 bike plan update is going on right now. And so this is a chance for the community to take a survey and give their input on improvements that they might want to see on Farmers Lane or on Highway 12. I know there's a couple schools, well, there's at least one school on Highway 12 past the mission. So give your input, check out the link. I don't know if it's accessible for everybody there, but yeah, if not, you could always search Caltrans District 4 bike plan update. There's also a map on there. So they say you see a connection area that's missing, like getting across Farmers Lane, Sonoma Avenue, potentially walking or biking. Like how can we improve that? If you have an idea, you could put like a little waymark on their map, add to the Caltrans District 4 bike plan.
Can I just clarify, first of all, thank you for all the great work you've been doing. Is Highway 12 entirely, like even up by like Flamingo, is that all like state control? Like any changes to that roadway would have to be orchestrated through the state as opposed to?
Yeah, so the only thing that we help or coordinate is the signal time, and then like potentially adjusting signal heads, things like that. And then
Yeah, I saw in some of the comments that parents from out on those situations were saying there's not complete sidewalks and stuff, but that would have to be Caltrans would have to be.
Yeah, Caltrans would have to be involved.
I imagine that not that many people are aware of, this Caltrans District 4 bike plan. So like when schools and the districts make their parents aware. And we're putting in lots of comments, maybe college parents will see that, you know, in Santa Rosa, because they're like, oh my God, Santa Rosans are really interested in Hammond as well. We're gonna do something about that. So yeah, get the word out.
And then there's no more slides, but then I also wanted to, let everybody know that these Safe Routes to School Task Force meetings have been very fruitful. In our last meeting, somebody had brought up the crossing at, I forget what elementary school, but it's on Sebastopol Road and it goes to,
Roseland Elementary.
so it's Roseland Elementary goes to,
Boys and girls.
Boys and
Yes.
girls.
the Boys and Girls
Yeah.
Club. So, because of that conversation, I think that, through development, that was supposed to be something that, the crossings there were supposed to be reorganized and implemented so that there would be a west side crossing. And so now instead, our in-house cruisers are working towards, setting up a plan to actually, you know, install the crossing ourselves in-house and then potentially getting moved for the future. So I want to encourage everybody to continue sharing their thoughts and ideas. I think it's very helpful, and we can't have our eyes and ears everywhere, so the communities are eyes and ears for everything that goes on. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Alexander. All right, Summer, thank you for being here, and thanks for the police department being here. Did you have an enforcement update or anything you wanted to share with me?
I don't have too much, one of the things that we're looking at, well, first of all, the walk and roll is always fun and a big success. Our guys and gals love doing, getting out there with the kids, so, we're always happy to participate in events like that when we can, so it's great. One of the things as far as, I know there's been discussions about, like, we get a lot of complaints about extra enforcement in schools in session. And so currently we have 5 motor officers and we have 4 accident investigators, and the 4 accident investigators typically are later in the evening because their main focus is collisions and DUI enforcement. They also respond to fatal collisions. So with the 5 motors, obviously in a city of our size, we're stretched thin. However, we are trying to make a commitment to doing the hot spots, if you want to call them that, of the schools that we get a lot of complaints at. Lincoln Valley is always at the top of the list. So we're always trying to go out there and do extra enforcement. Josh Medeiros is the motor sergeant. He's not here, but I know they were trying to commit to doing at least 2 days a week in the mornings of extra enforcement during school opening hours. As life happens with the police department, sometimes that doesn't always work out as planned, but just know that we're out there doing what we can, even with sort of limited resources that we have. And you can always contact myself or Josh if you have a specific complaint. And then we're also just started, it's like an in-house dashboard for different types of complaints for officers to essentially be more organized into like neighborhood complaints, traffic complaints. And so as the traffic complaints come into us, we'll be able to input it down in the dashboard, farm it out to the officer who works that specific area, and then have them document what they did to address it. So we'll have a little bit more of a consistent kind of response, or at least I can look in there and go, okay, well, this was handed it over you for extra enforcement on October 26th, and it showed the officer went out on October 28th and made X number of traffic stops or gave warnings and things like that. So those are the things we're kind of doing in the traffic realm to sort of address a lot of the issues. Other than that, as far as the school safe routes, I don't have a lot, but like I said, I'm always available for questions or concerns, and if I don't have an answer, I can try to find it. But I know the chief's priority is one of his top priorities is traffic, and our city size expanding and the number of schools, it's always going to be one of the top priorities.
I have a question, Summer. So when we're scheduling the walking audits, we generally schedule them either school drop-off time versus pickup time. So that we can see the travel behavior is, we would love to have an officer attend our audits. We did invite an officer to the Sequoia audit, but there wasn't one that was able to make it.
Okay.
Is that something that I would contact you about? Is that something you guys would be able or
You
willing
were
to
to
do?
contact myself and Sergeant Maderas, we can coordinate that happen. Because it doesn't necessarily have to be a traffic officer that goes out there, it can be the officer assigned to that beat for that day.
Right.
And we'd be more than happy to help. You know, some days don't, I mean, part of
I know,
the, we
things
get a little
come up.
busy,
Yeah, I know.
but we can, if we get some advance notice,
Yeah.
that's something that we could.
Yeah, we would love to include you, because I know there are often, I mean, the audits that I've been in the past, there are often, enforcement concerns that are raised, and it's just good to have that conversation.
Yeah, for
and
sure.
kind of explain what the reality is to the parents of schools that are concerned,
Sure.
and how to contact you, and just like have that follow up, so.
Yep,
That'd be great,
Yep,
thank you.
absolutely. Just contact both of us.
Okay. Great, okay, so, the next item on the agenda is our district
We've got a
site.
question.
Oh, sure.
I'm sorry, yeah, hi, thank you so much for the update and for helping keep our kids safe. I'm wondering if you could speak to the rights that people on bikes have to a clear bike lane, because one of the biggest obstacles for our kids is, even if there is a bike lane, there are usually delivery vehicles and more often than not garbage cans that people have placed. And that makes me very anxious as a parent to say, yeah, go ride yourself, because even if they know how to ride safely, unanticipated obstacles in the bike lane, they might not know the safest way to navigate that. So I'm just wondering, yeah.
Right,
And so, yeah, I'm just wondering, are delivery vans allowed to walk bike lanes? And
I don't know the exact,
okay.
again, I don't wanna
Yeah.
answer something and not give you the right
Right,
exact
I
information. So I think it's kind of like with anything, like a loading zone type of situation, if they're stopped briefly to drop something off, right? Like there's gonna be times where that happens. Now, extended period of time, that's gonna be obviously different. Garbage cans, people set their garbage cans out, and they're not necessarily aware of what they're blocking, what they're not blocking.
Is there any coordinated communication with residents about where their garbage cans are supposed to be placed?
Not through us, and just to be honest.
Yeah, well, I guess I wanna
So,
note that to the safer.
The biggest thing I can say as far as education for kids is bicycles on the roadways, regardless if they're in a bike lane or not, are vehicles on the roadway, right? So if sooner you can kind of teach them about, obeying the rules of traffic, and just being aware of, like, we always see people riding the wrong way against traffic, right? So bicycles are required to follow the same rules and obey the same laws as vehicles. As far as like the blocking.
Well, and that's when we see most of the scofflaw behavior.
Right.
Because the route is blocked and then you don't have an option.
Right, no, and I mean, can't speak to but as a police officer, if I see a kid on a bike or someone on a bike having to veer into the roadway to avoid a trash can, that's not something we sit there and be like, oh gosh, we need to, you know what I mean? Like they're doing what they need to as necessary. So.
It wouldn't be like you cite a house for having a garbage.
No, we wouldn't do that. I mean, we get complaints about that, and it's probably not something that would be in the front of our priorities. And I just want to be honest.
Yeah,
right?
I'm just wondering if people were regularly putting their trash cans in the middle of the car lane. Eventually, it seems like the police might get involved to be like, hey,
It could be more of like a complaint to like pathology or whoever does that, to be like, hey, this address is consistently placing their cans and they're not removing them. And then, because I know my Recology, if I don't set my cans 2 feet apart, I get a nasty note that says, hey, or hey, your can's too full, so it might be more of, if you're seeing that consistent behavior, a complaint to them.
That's a really good point, because the bike coalition's been communicating with Recology.
Yes, absolutely.
I also want to encourage folks like the police department, I'd love for you to share out our new PSA.
I wrote that, I have it right
Yeah,
down.
not to be bright peaceful that one too, but we have another one on putting your, garbage can or putting things in the bike lane.
And that's on YouTube as well?
It is, and I can share with you.
Sure.
I'll put it in the meeting notes, but I can separately share with you, because the more we can get that out there,
Yeah.
make it go viral, that'd be great.
That's an easy, we have a new PIO, her police information officer, Patty Sethens, she's fantastic. Our other one person, current, just got promoted to lieutenant, but putting information out, is what we do, and it's, so that's
And
not.
if there's other agencies like the city of Santa Rosa, either JD or the marketing
Civic.
communications, maybe they.
Civic ready,
share
yes,
out
exactly,
information
so
as
we
well.
can get all kinds of information out.
Yeah. Okay, all right.
I'm sorry, I'm the only sergeant working right now, and so I've got a few irons in the fire I gotta go work on, so.
But we'll record all this.
Okay.
Or if anything, well, you'll see the notes.
All right, thank you so much. Nice to meet
Thank you.
everybody. Thank you. And just let me know if you have questions, ask Gloeckner at srcd.org. Please,
Thank you. Okay, the next item on the agenda is district and site safety school issues, concerns, and opportunities. So I'd like to start just with each district, to give you an opportunity to share anything you'd like to share, whether it's a concern or something that you're doing in the district with Safer School. That would be great. And then I'll open it up to any members of the public that are on the Zoom or here in person. And we're just right on time. So let's go ahead and start with Patty. And do you have anything you want to share?
I really don't have anything that's surfaced up on the sites, no.
I know you do have a bunch of sites that won't work out.
Yeah, I'll have to let them know that.
Yeah, great. Okay.
Yes, Spring Valley, let's see. Well, first I just want to appreciate this task force. Our schools are very much so a walking, bike, skateboarding, all that good stuff to schools. I really appreciate it. I appreciate how receptive you've been when we requested to do the Sequoia walk. My mind's going to rock with the walk audit. So thank you very much for that. I also want to appreciate the Santa Rosa Police Department, because some of our walk and rolls, the police department was out there and out with the community and talking to the kids and taking pictures with them. So that's always really nice to see. And thank you for the snapshots, because I see I only have one school that's not opted in. So I want to make sure that happens. And just some other safety things. We are increasing a cross guard over at our middle school. So that's in the works right now. We've seen a need for that. And then additionally, just through doing site visits, I want to appreciate City of Santa Rosa, because I've seen them out there changing the lights for the crosswalks and stuff that are flashing. So I just see the improvements and the things that you're doing to make sure that our students are safe. So I really appreciate that. My biggest thing that I mentioned at the last meeting was, hence the walk audit, is the new development that's going in over by Sequoia School. That's slated to open for next school year. It's slated to bring in about 90 students. I don't know, that's just a projection, and that's up through high school as well, I'm assuming. So I don't know, so I'll be working very closely with the developer and the people leasing or the housing and whatnot to work with them, so I can get a really good handle on how many students are coming, so I can work with the city in terms of crossing the street and all that fun stuff. So it's a lot of students coming in, and our district is growing in enrollment, which we're happy to see that starting to come back. So with that comes more students walking and traffic and all that good stuff. So just want to keep our partnership going for the safety of all of our students. So thank you.
Could I just add one great little story? We have a student who has had a lot of school avoidance this year, and actually the walk and roll inspired her to come to school. So it's very interesting to see and look at the data around attendance rates on those days.
Yeah.
I mean, if we could like do that once a week or something, so that we can get kids to school.
But our students do walk and roll
super-
once a week. I mean, we promote a monthly event because most schools have just really the capacity to do it once a month. But there have been schools that do a weekly walk and roll. They may not have a welcome table every week, but they sort of promote it as a weekly walk and roll Wednesday. They do the Golden Sneaker Awards, competition. So that's something, it kind of depends on the school site.
Yeah. And I don't wanna, all of our principals do it weekly, but.
No, no.
Just saying the attendance definitely can get,
We've definitely heard that about the data, with
Yeah.
walk and roll and walking school buses and kinds of organized, efforts to get meetups and things like that have definitely shown in like the studies that have been done nationally that has increased attendance.
And just hearing this information, Lori and myself, when we have our leadership meetings, we're adding this information in here. I didn't know that a principal actually needs to make the request to go to you for an audit. So I
Well,
want
that's
to.
new. That's
Oh, okay. Well,
we just after you didn't miss anything. We
Okay.
after the last meeting when we realized all these requests were coming in, we
Oh.
just sat down internally, Alexander and Tarina and I, and we're like, okay, how really can we handle this?
Yeah.
We want to make sure it's fair and we're having a process that
Yeah.
kind of makes sense for everybody.
So we'll be putting that on our agenda for our principals, as well as all the wonderful resources
Yeah.
for the contest and all that stuff, because
The
kids
grant,
like that.
the grant,
Yeah.
yeah.
And the grant, yes.
Thank you. I wanna,
We will get a copy of this, right? So there's a lot of important pieces on this presentation.
oh, yes, absolutely. We post, when I send the notes out, we will post, a link to all of the presentations, all the handouts, and the notes will be on the task force page's website, and I'll have links to all of that when I send you all the notes. I do have a comment, that came to me via email, so I'll read that and then I'll go to the members of the public. This came from a parent, Sabrina Bellinger. It looks like she's a Rankin Valley parent. Oh yeah, Austin Creek parent. She said, and this is kind of a district, request. She said, we need additional ramps for people with strollers or bicycles to enter Austin Creek. Currently, if you want to enter the school from the northwest side, there are no ramps or open gates for bicycles. Many students are coming from that direction and have to cross the drop-off traffic at the top of the stairs, or worse, go down the drop-off entrance on the street. There is no path for strollers and bikes coming in from the field side of the school. This is where we have sidewalks and bike paths, and then no entrance to the school that accommodates wheels. Thank you, Sabrina. So
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, thank you, Sabrina. I don't know if she's on there,
Yeah.
but I always want to stress, I haven't heard of this, so when
Yeah.
things like this of requests come to us directly.
Yeah.
My director of maintenance is here, which is amazing, so
Yeah.
we're writing this down,
Yeah.
but we just need to know so that we can look into it and
for sure.
do whatever we can to make it safer. So thank you.
Yeah, I mean, that's what this task force is here for, but obviously parents should feel free to go directly to their school
Absolutely,
district.
yes, thank you.
Okay, great. Okay, so let's go ahead and go to the Zoom folks that are here. Let's see, I'll just call on, I think we've got Elizabeth Crane has her hand up, so Elizabeth, why don't you go ahead and start, and then we'll go to Brandon and then you two have anything for free that you want to add.
Hi, everyone. And I also want to thank Christina and the Safe Routes to School task force for organizing the walk audit for Sequoia. And that was really interesting and informative, and we got a lot of good ideas out there. I'm really interested in what you mentioned about having an internal tracking document to kind of, see what happens with all the suggestions that came through in the walk audit and kind of where that will take us. So I saw one of the things that got done was the curbs were painted red by the Merritt crosswalk and maybe another crosswalk so that cars wouldn't block the view of the crosswalk for other cars. So that was great. Some of the other projects, I don't know when those are going to happen. I know that Calistoga Road's going to be repaved, and that's kind of limiting what can be done right now. But I'm still really concerned every day walking across there with my kids. There's still cars stopping in the crosswalk, turning right through the crosswalk. Lots of things like that still going on. So it would be great to know if some of those like lower hanging fruit projects could be, when those would be done. And I know, there's so much going on. So I'm really interested in that. And then also I was curious to know, kind of with tying into what Alexa was saying about prioritizing safety. One of my takeaways from the walk audit was realizing like how much the city Calistoga Road how much the city considers Calistoga Road to be a real thoroughfare, connecting people from the town of Calistoga down to Santa Rosa, and all the tourists that go up there and whatnot, and not wanting to slow down the traffic too much on Calistoga for fear that all the traffic would be going through the neighborhoods on other streets. But those of us who live here right off Calistoga Road want it to be a lot safer, and we are, lots of schools and people going to schools use Calistoga Road. So my question is like, what is the process going to be for deciding what type of bike lanes we get on Calistoga Road when it is repaved? Hopefully we do get like some class 4 level bike lanes that really kind of visually slow down the traffic through that area. So any updates on the timeline for any of these projects would be great, though I know it depends on funding and all kinds of things. And one other comment was a lot of the Safe Routes to School info does come through to the parents through the principal's newsletter and other means. Like this meeting today was really well publicized among, I think, to the Sequoia elementary parents. But some of the other cool resources you have on your website weren't, like I didn't know about the October challenge or the November calendar. And one idea that I thought was really cool was like taking pictures of people coming to school in their winter gear, like they're walking and rolling winter gear, because like today it was cold and tons more people were driving to school. So something that kind of like shows like, hey, look, we're still walking, we're still rolling, even though it's cold. I think that would be like a really fun like event, even to do like once a month, like look at all the pictures of all the people who came and this is all their cool stuff they wore. So to stay warm. So anyway, those were my comments. And yeah, still, I'm hopeful that some changes will be made to make Calistoga Road safer, and really hope that the safety piece ends up being more of a focus than the through traffic speed.
Alexander, did you have any comments about I know we talked about it at the audit about the process for Calistoga.
So I don't have an update yet, but I can give you an update in the future if you'd like. I just haven't had a chance to talk to the traffic engineer. I don't know if you remember Mike, he was there, and his progress on certain things. But I really don't know when Calistoga Road is going to be paved. That could be years out. So that potential change I couldn't see happening in the near future. But like we've said in the past, like if we add things like that to our active transportation plan, putting class 4s and things of that nature, then that will give us more of an emphasis to try to get things going. Or if development comes in, it gives us a tool to, say, hey, well, this is the proposed bike lane on this section of roadway. But yeah, without the input, without it in our active transportation plan, it doesn't really give us a lot of teeth to go forward, at least from the development side. We've been having a lot of internal conversations about putting more class 4s out there. But yeah, it's just dependent on funding, and then dependent on, certain projects that come up and make it more opportunistic.
I think one thing to also acknowledge and realize is that continuing to have this forum where we're continuing to discuss these topics and share opportunity for feedback is really going to be helpful, because like later on down the line, they're going to have a survey for the active transportation plan, I'm sure, in a map. I don't think it's been published yet, but that's going to happen, and you guys are going to hear about it, and then we want your parents to know about it and for them to respond to it. And then when it comes time to do, like we're really doing road, repaving on Calistoga Road, and we want parents to support that process of having, a class 4 bike lane, or, a class 2 even, or a green bike lane. We'll want that support from the parents that live there, so that the people that may be, scared that traffic is going to slow down, or, that they don't want a bike lane, kind of are not the ones that are the loudest voices. So I think just continuing to have this forum is going to help with that. Hopefully, for the projects that happen positively. There.
I too am concerned about all of, I'm very excited that that housing is going in. I think it's much needed and it's a good location for it, but I am concerned that I haven't heard that the city is increasing bus coverage along Highway 12, and I haven't heard any plans from Caltrans about putting bike lanes. So that essentially means that all the people who are going to live there, if they're coming this direction, that's going to be more traffic on 12, on Lomita, on Montgomery, on all those roads. That will then be a danger for kids who are walking to and from school or biking to and from school. And so I just wanted to say a piece about coordinating the city, that, working with city bus and, just to keep traffic loads lower, especially when new developments are going in. And then I also wanted to mention, I heard class 4 bike lanes mentioned, but my personal favorite are raised bike lanes, which are actually part of the sidewalk. So just to help you imagine what I'm envisioning here in front of Village, right now there's a painted bike lane and then parked cars and then a sidewalk. At some future date, when we have millions of dollars, we could expand the sidewalk out, halfway through where the parked cars are now and make half of the sidewalk for people on wheels, half of the sidewalk for pedestrians, and then put the parked cars on the outside. So it's not even taking up more space, it's just shifting out the current space as a range, so that, because right now I'm not gonna let my kid ride through that bike lane at drop off time. There's just cars pulling across it every minute, doors opening and closing. But if you put especially in front of schools, I think that the best standard would be to make the sidewalks wider, put the bikes up, and you can use pavement markings to indicate this is for the bikes, this is for the pedestrians, to reduce conflicts. Because we want to keep walkers safe from bikers as well as keeping bikers safe from drivers. So I just wanted to put that out there as a potential for principals to advocate for in front of their schools as a potential infrastructure improvement that preserves parking and keeps everybody a little bit safer.
Is that something that would be, because it's a sidewalk expansion, would that be like a district responsibility, or would that be a city project? Because the sidewalks isn't that the property owner for the, I don't know.
So it depends, and I would assume it would have to be like a partnership, right?
Partnership.
Working with the schools, I can't speak like definite on this, but I could see it being like, okay, if the school wanted to give up some of the land in front of their place, then we could make the improvement potentially. These are just thoughts and ideas.
Yeah.
Or if we extended the curb line out, which would probably cost a lot more money, and take the current bike lane up, right? And that would be another option. When you go to that option, then you have to worry about drainage as well. And that could be a big concern from the engineering side of things. So it's a great idea. I think it would help, but there's a lot of coordinating and figuring it out, planning that would be involved in it. It could be something to look for the future.
My only concern is the students dashing out to the car to get picked up, that the bicycles are going through that special lane. And if they're in front of the school, you're gonna get kids going to mom and dad in the car. And then some bicyclist comes through and doesn't see the child running across them. But that just came to my mind when we said in front of schools, yeah.
It's a fair concern,
Yeah.
but cyclists are riding down bike lanes that are being crossed.
No, I get that point, but it's just like to solve one, we're gonna create another.
I've just seen, like, they have these in Boston, and I've seen them work beautifully.
It's cool to see pictures of it, and I think there could be, Alexander and I were talking about, in future meetings, having some presentations where we're showing, like, we're educating about traffic calming measures and things like that, and, there could be opportunities for Alex, you to share some information about Center, or him to share it with you, and I don't know, I think that this could be a forum for educating all of us about what the potential solutions are, and to continue to advocate for them, so thank you for that idea. Okay, I want to give others a chance to speak. Brendan Connors is on the Zoom. Did you want to make a comment on the agenda item?
Hi, I didn't actually have a specific question at the start of the meeting. I just chose to be a panelist in case I thought of something along the way. You guys were talking earlier about changing the meeting time for the December 1st meeting, and I had to step out when you were discussing changing it to 4 p.m. So I don't recall if that was resolved. But
For December, we're at 10:30 a.m. That's been said and communicated already, but we were talking about it perhaps for 2024, as we move forward, is 10:30, the best time? Could we be open to having it at a different time? So sounded
Sure.
like folks that were here, Amy and Patty, were both open to a 4 p.m. meeting, possibly January 25th or whatever. We'll have to figure out the date, but I've got to go to the other districts and check in with them. So I do want to make sure I have representation from.
okay, gotcha. Well, for what it's worth, I would vote for 4 p.m. My wife is a high school teacher at Montgomery, and she's also a very avid bike commuter, and she's involved in taking my daughter to school at Village as well. And so the 4 p.m. slot would work for her, and she would love to be more involved with this. So
much. I agree. I mean, when we've set the meetings for, last April, we just 10:30, we were getting all the districts involved, and we wanted to kind of make sure it was something that was doable for everyone during the workday. But for sure, I've gotten some comments from other parents asking for it to be later, and I agree. Teachers, there are a lot of teacher advocates out there, and we'd love for teachers and even principals to be able to, attend when they've got a concern or if they've got something they want to share. So I would love to do it 4 p.m. I just need to make sure it works for, all the districts. So
great.
We'll work on that. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
On the Zoom, if you are not a panelist on the Zoom, but you've been observing and you want to say something, you could.
If you want to use the raise hand feature, I can call you.
You can use the raise hand feature, and then Jacob, our district tech person, can allow you to speak. Is there anybody that is on the Zoom but not a panelist who'd like to make a public comment or comment on this agenda item? Not seeing any?
We do one.
Do you have one? Okay, great, Tom. Great. Hello, Tom Hammond. Welcome.
Hello, my name's Tom. Sorry, I'm driving, so it might be a little loud in the background. I'd just like to reiterate more education on the understanding of like what calms traffic would be super helpful. And then the other piece was that I think like a really simple way to count bikes would just be to count the number of bikes in the bike racks at the school each morning. And it's something that I feel like I could totally do. It's usually like somewhere between 5 and 20. But it would just be a really easy way to get a census data for like, say, like a couple weeks or maybe a month. And then everything else was, thanks for putting these meetings together. And again, I didn't really hear about these meetings aside from when I think it might have been you, Christina, was actually at the Village. I'm a Village parent, was at Village, and that's when I actually found out about these. But in the past, I've been a part of other types of these kinds of meetings. So I think more publicity of this would be helpful. What else? Yeah, I think that's it. Thank you very much.
What school are you from? What school are you?
Village.
Brandon, can you say what school you were from?
My daughter is at Village as well.
Okay, great. Yeah, thank you so much for that comment. We do. So this is how we publicize the meeting from, just for everyone's information. We create a notice for every meeting in English and Spanish. And then we send the notice to all of the site principals and all our district contacts, and ask them to share that in the best way that they can, which generally I think is in Parent Square, maybe in their newsletter as well. We also have it up on our website, but it's a little bit buried and hidden for people to find it there. we really are dependent on our school partners to share out the information about this meeting. And so, if there are PTA reps at a school that I'm not, if there's people at a site that district representatives would like me to share the information with, just let me know, because I can add them to a list and make sure that like the PTA leader is getting in and can share it out on their Facebook or however they get it out. So we would definitely like every school to, Elizabeth said she thought widely publicized, boy, that was great. But maybe it's hard. Schools have so many other things that they're juggling with communications. Principals have so much on their plates. They may or may not remember to do it more than once,
Yeah, can I just mention for Brendan and Tom that there's also an organization called Bikeable Santa Rosa, and we will be and have been advertising all of these on our Facebook site and through our newsletter. So if you want to find us on Facebook or go to bikeablesantarosa.org, you can sign up for that newsletter.
And maybe the city could publicize it, and then I could share it with police. I mean, I haven't asked the police department to share the information, but they've been receiving the notices, so I don't know if they're sharing. So I could make that request as well. So, okay. So, is there any other business or announcements that anybody wanted to make about anything? And like Laurel, you've been here. I'm sorry that I didn't have you on the agenda, but is there anything that you wanted to report out from DHS? Side of things, or
just that we're excited to be part of the walk audit at Wright Elementary School and help out with those however we can. And the program that I am here representing is the Professional Living Program, and there's other support that we can provide to eligible low-income schools. And then I also represent the Vision Bureau Advisory Coalition as well. And so if anyone's interested in that effort, that as well.
We actually had another parent raise their hand, or another participant raise their hand. Ms. Canalida. Would you like to make a comment on agenda item 5?
Yes, I would. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, hi. My name is Meg Canalida, and I'm a parent at Village Elementary School. I moved to Santa Rosa in 2020, and so I've only been here 3 years, but since I moved here, I've been in one accident, and it was a collision on Cleveland Avenue when I was making a left-hand turn, and there was a blind by the vehicle. It's a 2-lane, so it's by the family resource center or something like that on I can't remember that street that I turned on. Well, anyways, I see that same exact problem at the crossing where we're exiting Village, or you can exit and you can enter, because it's the only way you can turn left onto Yalupa. And it's a concern to me because that accident almost endangered a pedestrian that was on the sidewalk. But if I wouldn't have held the steering wheel so tight, I would have hit that person, and I would hate to have been a child in front of Village Elementary School, because I think that when you do the survey, I would just love to be involved in that. And I'm sure a lot of other parents at Village would like to be involved in that, because there was a memo put out by Rebecca, the office manager, and it was stating like the process that Village Elementary School has for drop off and pickup. I have major anxiety, social anxiety. So I have major anxiety over, even though I still am involved in the community, because I know that that's the only way to get over things like that and to help other people is to be involved and get over your anxieties about certain things. So I think a lot of people that have anxieties about driving, picking up, and walking around, like the other parent was saying, she doesn't want her child to ride his bike by himself to school, which is a huge empowerment for these children to be able to be responsible and independent. And so as parents, this is my only child. My only child goes to Village Elementary School, and she's only in 2nd grade. So I have more years ahead of us, and I just wanted to be involved with the community. So in any way that I can, with the safety around the school in the morning and around 3 o'clock when they drop off, there needs to be more of a set in place, more direct visuals as to where to drive, so that those pedestrians aren't endangered. And even though we all know this when we took the traffic test to get our licenses, still when it becomes so chaotic around those times of drop off and pick up, I think that all rules go out the window or something, and everyone forgets how they learned how to drive. So I just wanted to kind of make it comical, but yet around safety, so that not only are the parents getting it, but they can talk to their kids about it. That's all.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. What was your name again? I'm sorry.
My name is Meg Canalida.
Thank you. I put in my notes here, I'm gonna meet with the principal and our director of maintenance to kind of review the flow of traffic and go through all that, to look at that. Thank you very much for bringing this to our attention.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, if you want help with that,
Yes.
help with
Okay.
traffic ideas too.
That'd be great.
We could do a walking audit.
Well, that's on my list because
Yeah.
it's, yeah.
Yeah, and again, with the walking on, just to be clear about in terms of attendees, we like to have the walking on it, have the principal, facilities director if appropriate, if we're looking at, traffic flow into the parking lot. And, if there are a couple of active parents that are interested in participating, that's great too. We're not publicizing it to the community at large, because if we had 20 people, that'd be too many people to be on it. But for sure, if there's a concerned parent like Meg or somebody who's at the school and has been involved with, like Alexa or, something like that, that would be great, because that really helps to get those stated. I just wanted to do it. Is there anyone else on the Zoom that wanted to jump on and make a comment? Okay, I want to share something real quick with everyone that I wasn't able to share at past meetings. I wanted to quickly share our Safer to School website with y'all so that you know where to find the task force information and also our current challenges and what's going on. So this is the website. On the homepage of the website, we always have our current monthly theme and challenge. So right now we're in October, so it has all the information about how to participate in that rock and roll day. It has links to the challenge sheets for school representatives or school champions. We have all the resources for sharing of the October challenge, which we have multiple resources, promotional resources, from flyers to Instagram ads to, different infographics to advertise the date of your walk roll day, a tally sheet for collecting tallies for your walk roll day, things like that. So that would always be at the top of the page. Right now, Ruby Bridge is in November. It's already up on the site. You gotta scroll down to find it because we can't make it sticky to the top of the page until it's November. So if you're interested in Ruby Bridges Day, you can pull down the information now. It's just a little bit of a scroll. And then in terms of finding the task force information, that would be under events and news. And then we have a task force tab. And then you go there. And then if you go to the Santa Rosa page, you can see what we have posted so far. So for the September 28th meeting, we had the notes, we had our presentations, we had the school snapshot handouts that we gave out, we had the parent survey comments that we distributed, the agenda and the notes, kind of in order of what we released. And we did have a recording back in August as well. We didn't in September. For the technical issues, we will have a recording for this meeting, but we'll be posting all those notes, presentations, handouts. I'm going on vacation Saturday. I won't be back till the 7th. I usually like to get notes out in about a week, but they'll be a little bit delayed because I'm going to be on vacation. So I'll get those notes out probably around the 10th and get everything posted on the 10th. And so please check out our website. There's a lot of information on it too about encouragement programs, about all our education programs, how to enroll in the program, and other tools and resources, even information about walking audits. Not how to request one right now. I can update that later, but that's our website. So our next meeting again is December 1st. It will be at the Santa Rosa City School District. We will be in the boardroom at 211 Ridgeway Avenue, and it will be a hybrid meeting. And I hope to see you all there. And anyone else, any parents, please continue to publicize. Oh, the meeting is open to anybody. So yes, we are rotating from district to district, and we'll be focusing on that central and northwest area at that meeting. So we expect to hopefully have parents from that area at that meeting, and, you know, presentations focusing on that area. But if there's a parent that missed this meeting from East Santa Rosa and wants to attend the meeting that we're having and wants to speak out, there's nothing, that's fine. We just want to have these focus areas to give it a little bit of, you know, focus. So, you know, not every district has to be at everything. Okay, so thank you so much, everyone, for being here, and I look forward to seeing you next month.
Thank you for hosting.
Thank you. Everybody else do. I'm gonna stop the Zoom. Thank you. Okay, I'm done.
Oh, nice.